Coach Jason Capson here, and today, why Ramon will never, ever beat Chris, and my top 3 predictions for next week's Arnold Classic 2024, who will be in the top 3, and ultimately who will win the Arnold Classic. Here we go. Coach Jason Capson here. Welcome back, everybody. So if you watched my video from last week with Hottie versus Samson, who's going to win the Arnold Classic in the men's open bodybuilding, although I do think Hottie may in fact win, my heart and my mind and my instincts say that Samson should win the Arnold Classic if they're going for a more symmetrical, more aesthetically pleasing kind of a look. Remember, last year, you had, Hottie wasn't in the show last year. Hottie was, did the Mr. Olympia. He won the Mr. Olympia last year, not the last Olympia, but the one before that. And when you go to the Arnold Classic, you had Samson winning over Nick Walker. And Nick Walker, in my opinion, everyone talks about Nick Walker, but Nick Walker does not have the most aesthetically pleasing body on the planet. He's a mass monster. He reminds me a lot of Hottie, obviously different body types. Hottie does have a little bit better symmetry than Nick Walker does, in my opinion. But I still think Samson is better than both of them. I think Samson is better than both Hottie and Nick Walker from a symmetrical standpoint, from a mass standpoint, from a pleasing to the eye, beautiful body in open bodybuilding. So I still think and hope that the judges at the Arnold Classic go for Samson. Now, into classic physique. Here's the thing about classic physique. In my opinion, classic physique is obviously, in my opinion, the best category in bodybuilding right now because, again, they are actually rewarding symmetry. Chris Bumstead's a huge dude. That guy is gigantic, and he carries that mass perfectly from head to toe. So, in my opinion, I don't think Ramon will ever beat Chris Bumstead, and here's why. Let's break it down. Let's jump right off the bat. Let's talk about arms because that's what everybody always talks about when it comes to Chris Bumstead is his arms. His arms are great. They're not as good as Ramon's are. Ramon has amazing arms, and in the arm department, we give the nod to Ramon every time. Ramon has beautiful, perfect arms. Hands down, arms go to Ramon if we're comparing Ramon to Chris Bumstead. Back. There is not even a comparison here. Look at the difference in the backs, especially on that front double bicep pose. Chris Bumstead's got an incredible back from the front and also from the back. He blows Dino away every single time. Ramon's got a good back, don't get me wrong, but he will never be able to catch Chris in the back department. There's years of work to do for him to even come close to Chris Bumstead's back. Abs, let's go right there because, again, in classic physique, abs do matter. I actually prefer Ramon's abs generally in a relaxed pose and in most of the poses, except for the vacuum pose. But no one on the planet does it better than Chris Bumstead. Chris Bumstead's shoulder to waist shoulder ratio is second to none. His shoulder to waist ratio is better than Ramon's. Abs are kind of hit or miss, but that vacuum pose, I think, gives the edge to Chris Bumstead. Shoulders, I think they both have incredible shoulders. I think in the shoulder department, they definitely are close. I don't want to say it's tied because, again, that shoulder to waist ratio, Chris Bumstead just has it, and that's what makes him the greatest classic physique champion of all time. He will go down in history as the greatest, I think, one of the greatest physiques on the planet of all time. I think he truly will. The way that he carries that mass, because he is a big dude with a lot of mass, but carries it. It's so pleasing to the eye. Chris Bumstead, shoulder to waist ratio, shoulders, I think, goes to Chris. Legs. Again, like back, there is no comparison when it comes to legs. No one in classic physique can touch Chris Bumstead's legs. When you look at his legs, when you look at the detail, when you look at the separation from the front, from the back, from the side, Chris Bumstead, hands down, has the best legs in all of classic physique, and there's no one coming close anytime soon unless some freak of nature comes out of the woodworks that we had never heard about before, and he It's not going to happen. Chris Bumstead legs for days. And last but not least, chest. Chest, again, I give the edge to Chris Bumstead just because he carries, well, don't get me wrong, Ramon put on a ton of size. Ramon is gigantic in the off season. I think because he gets so big in the off season, and then when it comes time to compete, he does sacrifice some muscle in order to make weight. But I think in the chest department, again, I was going to give the edge to Chris just because of the way that he poses it. But I think it's pretty close. I think they both have really good chests. And I think it's going to be Chris Bumstead, who overall package head to toe, when you look at it from an aesthetically pleasing, balanced, symmetrical standpoint, Chris Bumstead leads the world every single day. And that's why I think Ramon will never the only time Ramon will beat Chris Bumstead is when Chris Bumstead retires. All right, let's jump right into my Arnold Classic Physique top 3. Now this is interesting because I do think there are some dark horses at the Arnold Classic. I really think that Wesley Vissers is actually very, very underrated. I think he's overlooked at a lot of the shows. I'm not sure what it is, and I know I hear this in other videos too, and I'm in the same boat. I'm not sure what it is about him that the judges don't like. When you look at him, especially right now, if you looked at some of the updates, this is an enormous human being. And if you break down his body parts, when you look at the size of his chest, when you look at the size of his arms, the size of his back, his legs, the guy looks incredible. I think he brought his best package ever at the Olympia. I think he's going to step it up even more at the Arnold Classic. Do I think he can crack the top 5, maybe even the top 3? You never know. I think he's a really, really good classic physique bodybuilder. I think he kind of gets overlooked in a lot of ways. But do I think he can beat the top 3? Probably not. But I think he could sneak into 4 or 5. I really do. I think he may finish as high as 4th, in my opinion. I really like his physique. There's just something about him that the judges don't like, and I don't know what it is. Maybe you know, comment below. I don't know what it is about this guy that the judges just seem to, they just seem to have a problem with that body. But anyways, I've got him in 4th place. All right, now let's get to my top 3. So here's the consensus. The consensus is that Ramon is going to win, Urs is going to finish 2nd, and Breon's going to finish 3rd. I think, now again, do I think that Wesley could sneak in there into the top 3? You never know. Again, I just don't know what it is that people don't see in Wesley, but it is what it is. So I got Wesley at 4th. He could sneak into the top 3. He could sneak into the top 3. Now here's where it gets interesting. We haven't seen a whole lot of updates from Urs. We've seen a lot of updates from Ramon. Ramon is gigantic. I don't think anyone's touching Ramon. So let's just get right to it. Ramon's going to win. Ramon is going to win the Arnold Classic Physique division. Now, 2nd, 3rd, I think Breon could shock the world and sneak into 2nd place. Now, again, we haven't seen a whole lot of Urs, but I think that when the weight category changed, or not the category, but when they added the weight to Classic Physique, I think out all the competitors who took advantage of that weight difference. I mean, Chris Bumstead, it obviously helped him. It helped everybody, but I think it helped Breon more than anyone just because Breon's a little shorter. But I think Breon, former Mr. Olympia champion in Classic Physique, he might sneak into 2nd place based on the latest updates. Now, again, in fairness, we haven't seen Urs. In my opinion, I think Urs gets a lot of credit for being the next big thing. I don't see it. I don't see Urs as the heir apparent to Chris Bumstead. We see Dino. I definitely see Ramon Dino as the heir apparent to Chris Bumstead. But I don't see it with Urs. I think Breon could beat Urs. I think Breon could sneak into 2nd place. I think 2nd and 3rd place are going to be interesting. Now, my gut tells me, just based on past experience and just based on the way judging happens in the world of bodybuilding, I think it's a foregone conclusion that as long as they come in shape, you're going to see Ramon in 1st place, you're going to see Urs in 2nd place, you're going to see Breon in 3rd place, and Wesley might sneak into 4th. What I'd like to see in a this is just my opinion, but what I'd like to see is, no one's touching Ramon. Ramon's winning the Arnold Classic Physique. In 2nd place, I got Breon. In 3rd place, I've got Wesley. And in fourth place, I have Urs. Now, again, I know that's controversial, and I know there's not a lot of people that will agree with that, especially the Urs fans. Again, time will tell. We're 1 week away. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. The top 5 is going to be very, very interesting, but I do think ultimately at the end, Ramon's going to win. You're going to have Urs in second. You're going to have Brion in third, and you're going to have Wesley in fourth place. Again, my opinion's a little bit different. I mean, I have Samson winning the open bodybuilding as well. So again, some controversial opinions there, but you tell me what you think. Who do you think the top 4, the top 5 is going to be in classic physique at the Arnold Classic? Coach Jason Capson, that's it. That's all. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care.